What's going on, guys? Boss Squirrel here with another Borderlands 3 build video, and today we're talking about Eraser Zane, which is Zane's strongest build. I've already discussed this build like 2 months ago, but I think I've only shown the complex route, which is definitely not the only weapon you can use for this build. And before discussing the build, please consider liking and subscribing, and hit that notification bell for more videos to come. Alright, so let's get right into the build. Okay, so for weapons, the only weapons that I recommend are splash weapons, and splash weapons that procs Eraser. For example, this one, Complex Root, which I've shown on my previous videos. It's just really overpowered in the hands of Zane. And by the way, the elements that I only recommend with this build are kinetic weapons, cryo, shock, and radiation elements. And the reason for that is this game only provide shields that gives immunity to radiation and shock. Cryo element do not matter because it doesn't apply a dot to us, so it won't down us. So first, for the complex route, as you can see, we have a cryo and radiation here. Also I have another complex route that gives shock and radiation. And for the Globetrotter, this is what I usually use for launchers. It's just really overpowered as well. As you can see, we have the cryo element here. We also have the shock and the radiation element. And usually for mobbing, well, basically all of these weapons are really good in mobbing or bossing. It just depends on your taste. But usually what I use for mobbing is either the root, the complex root, or the creamer here. And I believe the creamer only comes with the kinetic, and it doesn't come with any elements. And as you've noticed, all weapons have the same anointment, which is action skill and splash damage is increased by 125%. Alright, now going to the shield. The shield that I recommend, for example, when using kinetic or cryo weapons, the Infernal Wish is best for this, as it adds one more projectile to our shots. And the anointment honestly do not matter. Just try to avoid action skill and bonus elemental damage. I suggest using those anointments on your grenades instead of your shield. Alright, so this one has action skill and action skill cooldown rate. Also, when using radiation weapons, then I advise the red suit because it gives us 100% immunity to radiation. And when using shock weapons, I recommend the transformer, which also gives us 100% immunity to shock. Alright, now the reason why I do not recommend the action skill and bonus elemental damage from the shield, because it do not stack with our grenades. So for example, if we're using cryo weapons, action skill and bonus cryo damage from the shield do not stack with the action skill and bonus cryo damage from your grenade. So it's useless. So I just recommend using the ASC cooldown rate for more cooldown, so that you can spam your shoulder cannon more often than usual. Alright, now going back to the grenade, you can use whatever grenades you want. Just maybe avoid the fish slap because it is a melee attack, and Zane is not immune to the fish slap. So usually I just use the Itspes or Mesmer. It depends on you. But of course, when the anointment is really important, you need to match it from the weapon, from the element of your weapon. So if you're using cryo weapons, then ASC cryo. And for when using shock element weapons, then this one that has the ASC shock damage, and when using radiation weapons, then ASC radiation. You need to match it to the element of your gun so that you won't down yourself. Now for the class mod, we're using a hustler. This is really important for this build. As you can see, damaging an enemy with a non-critical hit grants Zane a stacking 25% increased critical hit damage and a plus 5% chance for non-critical hits to score a critical hit. So, as you know, splash damage uh, do not crit, not unless you hit that crit spot. But with the hustler, you're able to crit with splash weapons. And the passives are really, really important. Well, not this too. The most important part here is the splash damage radius. And also for the artifact, you'll want an area of effect damage on either slot 2 or 3. Because if it's on slot 2 or 3, it gives you a bonus splash damage radius as well. If it's in slot 1, unfortunately that bonus splash damage radius is not there. It needs to be on slot 2 or 3. Alright, and speaking of artifacts, the artifact that I recommend is the toboggan. And by the way, I have 2 artifacts here. If I'm using the complex route, I use this artifact which gives me sniper damage. And when I'm using launchers, I have this toboggan which gives us heavy weapon damage. Also with our class mod, I have this when using sniper, when using the complex route, that gives us sniper rifle damage. And when using our launchers, I have this hustler that gives us heavy weapon damage bonus. Alright, now going to the skill tree. Here is for my blue tree. You can just copy it. No need for violence because we don't need fire rate for this build, because basically we just one-shot everything. We just one-shot the entire map with a... yeah, that's it. We don't need fire rate. You'll want to max out playing dirty. As you can see, after killing an enemy, Zane's next 5 shots all have a chance to fire an additional projectile. So let's say, for example, we're using the complex route. It's really, really good with the complex route. So, for example, we're using the cryo element. So the infernal, since the complex route only shoots a single projectile, it'll be doubled when using the infernal wish, as the infernal wish adds another projectile to our shots, and it could be tripled with playing dirty. So it's really, really powerful with the complex route. Alright, now for salvation, you only need 1 point. You don't need to add more points to it because it has mayhem scaling. It's just a waste. And here is for the red tree. You can just copy it. Now here's the reason why this build is the most powerful with Zane, because of duct tape mod. As you can see, the first shot fired from Zane's gun has a chance to also fire a grenade. That do not matter. The most important part here is this one. This skill has a short... I'm sorry, this one. Additionally, Zane gains immunity from his own guns and grenades. So we're immune to our splash damage. However, the dot from our weapons, we're not immune to it. That's why I recommend matching the element of your grenade to your weapons and also your shield. So again, when using cryo weapons, or kinetic, just use Infernal Wish. If you're using radiation weapons, use the red suit. And if you're using shock weapons, use the transformer. Right? Now here's for the green tree, nothing. The extra points that I get here are just coming from our class mod. Now here is for the purple tree. You can just copy it. Now the most important part here on this skill tree for this build to work is this, of course, Eraser. As you can see, Zane's critical hits pierce through enemies for all weapons, dealing increased damage for every enemy pierced. Without this skill, this build won't work, and because of this skill, Zane is the most powerful Vault Hunter. It has the fastest clearing time out of all the builds of each Vault Hunter. And also, you'll want Arm and Flint so that you'll get that bonus 25% V1 or V2 damage whenever you're aiming down sights. Alright, so that's for the skill tree. And here is my garden rank. And we're running it on Mayhem 11. Okay, so if you find this guide helpful, again, please consider liking and subscribing and hit that notification bell. It'll really help me out. I'll be placing the save file on the description down below, including on the comments. So you guys have a good day. Bye-bye.